taste for the material world.
Is a young man then.
Now you can make checks payable, of course, to Benny Hinn Ministries.
Appeals for cash are a mainstay of Hinn's ministry.
Put your name, your account number, your expiration date, and sign.
Thank you, Lord, for strength.
But many loyal Hinn followers, like kidney patient Jordy Gibson in Alberta, reject criticism of Pastor Benny's fundraising and spending habits.
Benny Hinn's got expenses, you know. It costs money to travel, to bring the gospel of Christ around the world. And he's not asking for money so he can get rich. He's asking for money so he can continue bringing the healing message of salvation across the world.
Jesus is the answer.
And apparently millions of others feel the same way, because the revenue streams pour into Benny Hinn's ministry. At his 50 or more crusade services each year, while Pastor Benny preaches on stage, backstage, staffers and volunteers empty collection buckets filled by his capacity crowds.
It's never that was a great crusade. We saved a lot of souls. That was a great crusade. God was in the house with us. That was a good crusade. We made $500,000.
Andrew saw those crusades from the inside on Hinn's security team.
Do you have any sense of how much money the average collection at a crusade would be?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I believe the most for one evening, I believe the most that I am aware of was like $780,000.
Then there are Pastor Benny's donors, known as partners, who pledge to give him at least $30 every month. It's estimated he has 100,000 of those. And the ministry sells merchandise at crusades, by mail, and online. Benny Hinn's books, videotapes, Bibles.
Benny signs those, autographs the Bibles, and sells them. There was a time when Benny signed 30 Bibles, put his pen down and said, I just made $30,000. Almost euphoric.
How much does all that add up to? Well, we don't know, because under U.S. tax laws, the Hinn ministry is a religious organization and not obligated to make its finances public. Most major U.S. churches and ministries release that information voluntarily. Not Benny Hinn's.
But there is something else to go on here. 2 years ago, Hinn sent out a fundraising letter in which he explained there had been a 10% dip in donations over the past 6 weeks. He said he needed an extra $2.5 million to make it up.
Do the math. If that's true, by his own calculations, Benny Hinn's ministry takes in more than $200 million US dollars a year. And because it's registered as a religious organization, it's all tax-free.
And if Hinn won't say how much his ministry brings in, neither will he reveal how all that money is spent. What he has said, over and over, is this.
What you give never goes to Benny Hinn. Never. I have never touched a cent of anything that comes in through television, anything that comes in through the crusade offerings. And what I want you to do is you send that gift, and we'll use it in the ministry to spread the message of healing to the world.
Andrew traveled with Benny Hinn on trips in North America and overseas.
He lives and does the best of anything and everything. Money is never an object. He spends on whatever he likes, only the best for him, for Benny.
In the past, it's simply not been possible to verify if Benny Hinn is telling the truth when he says he spends every penny on God's work. That is, until now. The Fifth Estate has obtained confidential financial records from inside the Hinn ministry, documents provided by people who say they believe the public should know how Benny Hinn spends some of the money entrusted to him.
This is a lot of money. Yeah.
The documents tell a great deal about the style in which Benny Hinn likes to live.
The way that somebody handles their financial affairs is a real window or insight into how that person lives and manages their life.
This is interesting because it tells you who is on this trip. So there's
Roddy Allen is a forensic accountant with the firm of Kroll, Lindquist, Avey. We asked him to review the ministry expense and travel records.
He likes the high life. And if this were a corporate situation and I'd been retained to go through somebody's expense reports because there was a suspicion of fraud or something, I would be pulling these items out for further inquiry, and I'd certainly want to interview him, because to me it seems, above and beyond all bounds of what might be reasonable in the circumstances.
We focused on a trip in July 2003. Hinn had crusades in St. Petersburg, Russia, and Stockholm, Sweden. Receipts show, as usual, he stayed in 5-star hotels and consumed lavishly. But what's really interesting is what happened when the crusades were over. Pastor Benny and his family, bodyguards, and ministry staff didn't head home. Instead, Hinn's private jet took off in the opposite direction, to Italy.
Savoia Hotel in Milan, Italy. And apparently these are charges for room 1001. And the last name there is Joshua, but that's the name that Benny Hinn checks in under, David Joshua.
Right.
Hinn's room at the Savoia, 1001, is the presidential suite, described on the website as fit for a prince, perhaps the finest hotel accommodations in the world. No kidding. It is the largest hotel suite in Europe and features its own Baroque swimming pool and Turkish bath. The going rate? More than $10,000 per night. Hinn's hotel bill in Milan also included just over $4,000 in unspecified transportation charges. And then there were the tips. $2,100 in gratuities in just 3 days, including hundreds of dollars to waiters and $1,000 to the hotel's front desk manager.
So this is the cash for Milan.
But it didn't stop there. From Italy, the Hinn entourage headed to London for a day. In just 24 hours, here's what the ministry's own records show that Benny Hinn spent. The party stayed at the prestigious Lanesborough Hotel, where Madonna and Michael Jackson have been guests. The rate for Hinn's room, suite number 210, almost $4,000 for one night. And there were incidental charges on the hotel bill, including in-room tea, lunch, and chauffeur services, totaling about $6,000. That night, Hinn took family and friends to his favorite Lebanese restaurant. The bill, $1,725.67. And there were tips in London, too. Were there ever? Gratuities there totaled $3,100 for that single day, including $1,000 to the hotel concierge. Finally, there was a stop at Harrods department store, where they paid almost $200 for dusted almonds and fruit for Pastor Benny's plane ride home. Andrew says on top of that, there would be the substantial cost of the ministry staff and bodyguards who traveled with him.
You easily have $35,000, $40,000 a day in expenses. That would include salaries, easily. Probably more than that for the 10 people.
It could all add up to $200,000 or more for just those 4 days. Now, obviously, those records only show a slice of financial life inside the Hinn ministry, but they do raise disturbing questions for a man who claims to spend every penny he raises on God's work. Because we could find no legitimate business purpose for all the money spent in Italy and London. No meetings, no crusades, just a notation that they were on a layover after the Sweden event. Little to justify deducting all of that as official ministry business, which seems to be exactly what happened.